Welcome to our introduction. Accessibility, why does it matter? Before we get into that, we have to start with the basics. What is accessibility? Accessibility refers to ensuring all students can access and use your course materials, something I'm sure everyone in this room wants right now. But this also means working about our digital accessibility. So when we look at digital accessibility, we have to make sure all of our digital materials, everything that we have on a platform, our environments are designed so that people can perceive that content, operate that content using the abilities they have, understand that content, and make sure that all of that content is robust enough to navigate. Now, how does this apply to online content is a question that you might be asking. When we look at some of the things, it's going to be very simple concepts. When we look at digital accessible content, it's going to be things like text with sufficient color contrast, adjustable text sizes so people can read it, or just fixing a font. You can see right here in front of you how that white on dark colors is very easy, and that dark blue makes it incredibly hard for you to see. Now we also have other things like readable fonts, descriptive link text. We have keyboard-friendly navigation, screen reader compatibility, captions, audio descriptions, multimedia controls, keyboard access, error messages, font tables. I know, it's a lot. This is overwhelming. Don't worry, we're here to help you, and we're here to help you understand what all these things are. And while it looks like a huge list, in truth, just making a few changes in your daily life is going to make it a lot easier. So don't worry, we're here to help, and it's easier than it seems. We also understand that accessibility might be looking like it's adding more time to all the other things you already have to do. We all have a lot on our plate, and we all have limited resources. We know that. The benefit is if you use us as your resource, this is going to save you time in the end. We know you have a lot to do, but if you have accessible content, your students can understand the material the first time. Imagine how much time you're going to save if your students don't have to keep coming back and asking you how to do things again. So this will help you. We also want you to understand that it's worth that time spent. First, you have students who understand what you're teaching them. Second, we have students who understand the first time how to complete assignments. We'll have students who are engaged in your course content, students who see you as trying to reach them on a personal level, and hopefully even students who answer your questions in their own words without using AI because they want their voice to be heard. This is what we're really looking for. Now, why accessibility? Accessibility ensures equal access for all learners, so all learners can access that content. It also allows us to reach more potential learners, learners who previously might not have been able to get the education we're giving them. It's also a better learning experience for everyone, and it helps better society through equity. Also, it's the law. So let's look into those legal aspects. Now, there's a few laws that are really mattering here, and we'll go through these quickly. We've got Title II of the ADA, or American with Disabilities Act. We've got Section 508. We've got WCAG, or Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And we also have specific policies for the accommodations office here at Westchester Community College. We do have to step back and remind you, this is not legal advice. We are not lawyers, and this presentation should not constitute legal advice. It is for informational purposes only. We do strongly advise you to reach out to the council on your campus if you need any additional help. They're here to help. Now let's look into what the basics are of those laws. Title II of the American with Disabilities Act requires state and local governments to make sure all their services, programs, and activities are accessible to people with disabilities. This includes everything offered online and through mobile apps. So that's going to be all of your online content, and that's going to be everything that is going into the Brightspace portal. The new rule on accessibility of web content says that everything has to follow WCAG guidelines. And don't worry, we'll talk about WCAG in a second. This is adopted in April 2024, and it's going to be effective either April 2026 or April 2027, depending on where you have your institution. The difference is those areas which have to meet it by 2026 are those areas that have a population of 50,000 or more. 2027 is those who have a population of less than 50,000 people. That's not the population of your college. That's the population who could availably go to your institution. So that's important to know. And there are very specific guidelines that ensure web content and mobile applications are accessible for people with disabilities. What are those WCAG guidelines? The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines follow 4 basic principles: perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Perceivable means they need to be able to perceive it in a variety of different ways, whether visual, auditory, tactile, etc. Operable means they need to be able to operate that interface. They need to navigate with a keyboard, voice controls, other accessible content that you might not think of. So we might think in terms of a mouse, other people might need to use a keyboard and to access that differently. Understandable, something which the user can understand. I think we're all good on that one. And robust. We need to make sure it has enough variety that can be used by a number of different agents, including using all of these adjunctive technologies. We also have 508 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, where they amended it to say federal agencies have to make their electronic and information accessible to people with disabilities. Prior to this ruling, not all forms policies were essentially available to all, which essentially locked all of that information away from people who had to use accessible options. So now the law says we have to make sure that they can get to all of the information that they need. We also do have specific WCC policies in the accommodations office. We're going to discuss those in Module 3. So, what is included in WCAG and Title II guidelines? Basically, everything created by faculty and staff, everything created by students, everything on our LMS, all email communications, all HR documents, all websites, all electronic forms. All of these things need to be included. So this is important for everybody at the college to start understanding. How is this different from previous accessibility considerations? Many of you would say, I've been working with the accommodations office. I've made those accommodations. Well, the difference is we're moving from a reactive approach to a proactive approach. Previously, we were reactive. If a student needed accommodations, they went to the accommodations office, they asked for it, they told the professor had to make changes to fit with them. We're now moving to a proactive approach, which is designing everything with inclusion in mind. That way a student can go to your course, click on something, and it will be accessible for them. There's nothing they have to do in order to get access to that material. They can use a screen reader. They can have it read aloud. They can use their keyboard to access it. The great thing about this is it's going to minimize your need for any accommodations by having this reactive approach, and also realize this is going to help everybody who comes by, whether you know they need assistance or not. What is the role of instructors? One is you need to request students also follow these guidelines, just the same as you would ask them to follow APA format. Also model it by using these accessibility checkers and making sure you're using accessible content. Make it a priority, as you're doing right here. Participate in professional development. Learn more about Universal Design for Living, or UDL, and learn more about accessibility. We want to make sure that they're learning everything they need to know. And prioritize this by procuring all the tools that you need to meet these guidelines. Who's going to benefit from accessible content? Well, we're going to have that benefit students with disabilities, but also English as a second language learners, mobile users, older users. Everyone can benefit from accessible content. And let me give you some examples. How does accessibility help us in our physical setting? Curb cuts and ramps are one of those great things that we always want to look at. We've all seen a curb cut. It's that little divot in a road. And we initially designed them for wheelchairs, so people who needed a wheelchair could get off the counter or off the curbs very quickly. But when we design for disabilities, look at how much better we make it for everyone. Everyone can use the curb cut. We have people in wheelchairs, but also someone who's delivering packages, someone who's pushing a stroller, someone who has a suitcase or a bicycle. All of these people help. But often, even though we create these curb cuts and we create these things for people, we forget to use them first, as seen in this example, where here's some man who's shoveling the stairs while someone else needs to use the ramp. We need to remind ourselves that if we shovel that ramp first, if we make things accessible first, we help everybody. And that's what we need to start working on, focusing on that. So how is this going to help our learners with online content? By creating accessible pages, having pages that can be navigated in all the ways that we've already discussed. Accessible pages allow for, with good screen readers, If you are allowed to use a screen reader, which reads your page aloud, that's going to benefit the visually impaired. That's also going to benefit people who are dyslexic or have learning difficulties. It's also going to help people who are poor readers and need a little bit extra help in order to become better readers. I also think it helps multitaskers. And being a multitasker, I love this one. It's going to help someone commuting to work. They can listen to their lectures. They can listen to their pages. They can listen to their textbook while driving. Or a parent trying to make dinner can again listen to that. So it's going to help them with that content. So if we look at all of these different things, we can see how making accessibility is going to help everyone. And we hope that you enjoy this learning experience and figuring out ways to make this happen.